Have you ever felt a memory so vivid it could almost speak to you? For Alexander Whitmore, billionaire and CEO, today was a day of remembrance, of quiet grief, of reflection. The cemetery lay in a gentle valley, the scent of damp earth mingling with fallen leaves. Morning mist clung to the grass, softening the rigid lines of marble tombstones. Alexander stood before a modest gravestone, engraved with the name Margaret Whitmore, his mother. He brushed his hand lightly over the cool stone, feeling a pang that money, power, and influence had never dulled. Before we continue, if you love stories that warm your heart and awaken emotions that help you to become a better person, be sure to subscribe to this channel and show your love by liking the video. I hope you're proud of me, Mother, he whispered, voice breaking slightly. I've done many things, but I still feel your guidance missing. As he straightened, the sound of distant footsteps caught his attention. A young girl, no older than 12 or 13, walked slowly among the gravestones, her hands clutching a worn basket. Dust clung to her simple dress, and her shoes were scuffed and small. Yet something struck Alexander instantly. Her face, it was impossible. The eyes, the delicate curve of her lips, the soft arch of her brow. It was as though he were staring at a mirror of his mother's younger self. He blinked, unsure if grief or fatigue had conjured the vision. The girl looked up, catching his gaze. For a moment time seemed suspended. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying the faint fragrance of damp soil and distant flowers. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly, hesitant yet polite. "Do you know this area? I'm looking for the Whitmore plot." Alexander's chest tightened. He had never expected such a resemblance, and yet here it was, undeniable. His mind raced, connecting fragments of memory, photographs, stories, and this small, poor girl standing before him, so familiar in features, yet a stranger in life. He stepped closer, heart pounding, feeling a strange mix of curiosity, disbelief, and something tender he hadn't felt in years. Perhaps I can help," he said carefully. The girl nodded, her expression cautious, yet there was a quiet dignity in the way she carried herself. Alexander realized in that brief moment that the world could hold unexpected connections, moments where the past and present collided, leaving one breathless and full of questions. And so, in the soft light of dawn, amidst the gravestones and whispers of the past, a billionaire found himself face to face with a living echo of his mother, a mystery that would change his understanding of family, fate, and destiny. Alexander could not take his eyes off the girl. Every detail reminded him of his mother, the soft curve of her smile, the gentle tilt of her head, the eyes that seemed to hold a depth far beyond her years. I am looking for someone," he said carefully, not wanting to startle her. "Perhaps I can help you." The girl hesitated, clutching her worn basket tighter. I'm Anna," she murmured. "I don't have anyone. Just me. I come here sometimes to remember my own family." Alexander felt a pang of recognition and sorrow. Her voice was soft, fragile yet resilient, echoing memories of his mother's warmth and quiet strength. "Anna. My mother's name was Margaret. You remind me very much of her." The girl's eyes widened, a flicker of curiosity and fear mingling in her gaze. "Really?" she whispered, almost afraid to believe it. "Yes," Alexander said gently, kneeling slightly so he could meet her at eye level. "I don't know how, but you carry something of her in you. Perhaps it is your spirit, or the kindness I see in your eyes." Anna shifted, a shy smile forming. "I try to help others. Sometimes it's all I can do." Alexander's heart tightened, In that moment, he realized that fate had brought them together, a connection bridging years, wealth, and circumstance. A poor girl wandering among the gravestones and a billionaire weighed down by loss, suddenly bound by an invisible thread of history and resemblance. He found himself wanting to know everything about her, where she lived, what she dreamed of, how life had treated her. And yet he also felt a need to protect this fragile moment of discovery, to let it unfold gently. The wind rustled through the cemetery, carrying the scent of damp soil and faint flowers. Alexander understood that some meetings were not random. They were lessons, gentle nudges from the universe, reminders that life could be both mysterious and miraculous. And as he walked alongside Anna, showing her the gravestone and sharing quiet stories of his mother, he felt the first glimmer of hope that perhaps the past could guide the present, and that one unexpected encounter could change the course of both their lives forever. Anna walked slowly, her worn shoes crunching softly against the gravel path. Alexander stayed beside her, careful not to startle her, yet drawn by a curiosity and tenderness he had not felt in years. "My mother! She loved this place," Alexander said quietly, pointing to the flowers and gravestones around them. "She would come here often. It was her way of remembering and perhaps forgiving." Anna nodded, her eyes downcast. "I don't have anyone like that. My father, my mother, they're gone. I live with my aunt, but it's hard. Sometimes I just come here to feel close to them." Alexander's chest tightened. He could see the pain in her small frame, the loneliness etched in her young face. And yet, he also saw resilience, the same spark his mother had carried through life. He remembered Margaret's kindness, her unwavering spirit, and the way she always found hope in small gestures. "Anna," he said gently, "your spirit reminds me so much of my mother. She was brave, kind, and full of compassion, even when life was difficult. And I see that in you too." Anna looked up, tears glistening in her eyes. "Do you really think so?" "Yes," Alexander said, placing a hand lightly on her shoulder. "Sometimes life brings people together to remind us of what matters most. Family, courage, love, these are things we can carry with us, even when everything else is gone." For a moment, they walked in silence, the soft breeze carrying the scent of damp earth and faint flowers. Alexander realized that Anna's presence had awakened something he hadn't felt in years, a connection to his mother, a chance to protect and nurture someone who mirrored her so closely. Anna glanced at him shyly. "Do you think she would have liked me?" Alexander smiled, a warm, genuine expression that softened his usually stern features. "She would have loved you, and I think she would have wanted me to help you, just as I am now." And in that quiet cemetery, surrounded by memories and whispers of the past, Alexander felt a profound truth settle in his heart. Sometimes life gives us second chances, not to change the past, but to honor it, and to carry its love forward in unexpected ways. The sun had climbed higher, brushing warm gold across the gravestones and the soft mist that lingered over the cemetery. Alexander walked beside Anna, feeling a growing responsibility he hadn't expected. Her fragile presence tugged at something long dormant in his heart, the part that remembered his mother's warmth, her endless generosity, and the love she had for those in need. "Anna," he began cautiously, I want to help you. Not just today, but in the long term. You remind me so much of someone I lost, and I don't want you to face the world alone." Anna's eyes widened, a mix of hope and disbelief. You mean it?" Alexander nodded, his expression softening. "Yes. I have resources, a home, education, opportunities that can give you stability and a chance to dream freely. But I also want to do it gently, No sudden changes, no pressure, just guidance, care, and someone to watch over you like family should. Her small hand trembled as she clutched her basket. I don't know what to say. I've never had anyone offer me this before. You don't have to say anything, Alexander replied, voice tender. Actions are often louder than words. I just want to give you the chance to grow, to learn, to have the life you deserve. My mother, she would have wanted this. The breeze rustled through the trees, carrying the faint scent of wet earth and blooming flowers. For a moment, silence wrapped around them like a soft blanket. Alexander noticed Anna's eyes shimmering with tears, not of sorrow, but of a fragile, budding hope. Would you let me? She whispered. Of course, Alexander said, kneeling slightly to meet her gaze. We'll take it one step at a time. You won't be alone, Anna, I promise you that. As they walked together toward the cemetery exit, Alexander felt a quiet resolve settling in his chest. This encounter, seemingly chance, had become a turning point. He would honor his mother's memory not just through wealth or power, but through care, protection, and nurturing the life of this remarkable girl who reflected her spirit so vividly. And in that golden morning light, amidst whispers of the past and promises for the future, a billionaire discovered the profound truth that family is not only blood, but also the hearts we choose to protect and cherish. Days turned into weeks, and Alexander found himself thinking of Anna constantly. Every detail of her face, every gesture reminded him of Margaret, his mother, in ways that were almost uncanny. But it wasn't just the physical resemblance. It was her kindness, her quiet strength, and the way she seemed to notice the small things others overlooked. One afternoon, Alexander invited Anna to his private study, a room lined with shelves of leather-bound books and photographs. The warm scent of polished wood and aged paper filled the air, grounding the moment in comfort and history. I want to show you something, Alexander said, carefully pulling out a faded photograph from a drawer. The image captured his mother as a young girl, sitting beneath an oak tree, her hair catching the sunlight, her smile radiant. Anna leaned closer, her breath catching. She looks just like me, she whispered. Yes, Alexander said softly, his voice tinged with wonder, and not just in appearance. Your spirit, your courage, your kindness. It mirrors hers in ways I can't fully explain. It's as if a piece of her has returned to this world through you. Anna's eyes shimmered with tears. Do you really think that's possible? Alexander nodded, a quiet reverence in his gaze. I do. Life has a way of weaving connections that go beyond logic or chance. Some bonds are meant to teach us, to guide us, and sometimes to heal us. As they studied the photograph together, Anna shared stories of her life, small struggles, tiny victories, and moments of quiet resilience. Alexander listened intently, sensing that every word, every memory was another thread linking her to the legacy of his mother. The sunlight slanted through the windows, dust motes dancing like tiny stars in the golden light. Alexander realized that Anna's presence was more than a coincidence. It was a chance to honor his mother's memory, to nurture someone with the same heart and spirit, and to create a family forged not just by blood, but by love, care, and shared humanity. And in that quiet room, surrounded by echoes of the past, Alexander understood a profound truth. Sometimes the people we are meant to protect are not just reflections of the past, but living reminders of the values, courage, and love that define our lives. Days flowed gently into weeks, and Alexander and Anna began a quiet rhythm of shared moments. Mornings were spent walking through the city gardens, sunlight spilling across cobblestone paths, mingling with the scent of blooming flowers and fresh earth. Alexander listened as Anna spoke of her small dreams, learning, helping others, even painting tiny sketches in the margins of her notebook. "You have a remarkable spirit, Anna," Alexander said one morning, watching her eyes light up as she described a story she had read. "Your courage, your kindness, it reminds me of my mother in ways I cannot fully explain." Anna blushed, looking down at her hands. I just try to do what feels right. That's all." "Exactly," Alexander replied, smiling softly. "It's the simplest acts, honesty, compassion, care, that carry the greatest strength. You are teaching me, just as I hope to guide you." Afternoons were spent in the library, Alexander introducing Anna to books she had never seen before, novels, biographies, histories. The rich scent of leather-bound volumes mingled with faint hints of tea and sunlight. She absorbed each lesson with quiet enthusiasm, asking questions, challenging ideas, and finding her voice in ways she never had before. "Remember, Anna," Alexander said one day, "knowledge is a kind of freedom. It allows you to choose, to protect yourself, and to help others. But courage is what turns knowledge into action." Anna nodded, understanding, her small hand brushing his in a gesture of trust. She had begun to see Alexander not just as a benefactor, but as a guide, a guardian, and a father figure she had never known. Evenings brought gentle conversations, sharing memories of the past, laughter echoing softly in the warm light of the mansion. Alexander noticed the change in himself. A renewed sense of purpose, a deep abiding care that transcended business and wealth. And as he watched Anna asleep one night, the quiet rise and fall of her chest illuminated by the soft glow of the bedside lamp, he realized that family was not merely defined by blood. It was forged in love, in care, and in the unwavering commitment to nurture and protect those who reflect the best of us. One rainy afternoon, Alexander and Anna sat by the wide bay window of the mansion, the sound of droplets tapping softly against the glass. The world outside was blurred with mist and grey light, yet inside a warmth lingered, born from shared stories and quiet trust. Anna hesitated, holding a small folded envelope she had found tucked among her few belongings. I think this belonged to my mother," she whispered, hands trembling. "It has her name, and some letters. I never knew she wrote them." Alexander's heart quickened. "May I see?" he asked gently. The envelope revealed a series of letters, written in flowing script, addressed to his mother, Margaret. As he read, he realized they contained details of a young girl's life, a life intertwined with his mother's in ways he had never imagined. There were stories of kindness, of hardship, and hints that Anna's mother had once been close to Margaret, a friend whose family circumstances had forced her to leave the city. Anna looked up, eyes wide, a mix of fear and hope. Do you think we're connected?" Alexander's voice softened, almost a whisper. "Yes, I believe your mother knew mine, and perhaps this is why you remind me so much of her, not just in looks, but in spirit, courage, and resilience. You carry her legacy." The rain outside intensified, creating a soothing rhythm against the glass. Alexander placed a reassuring hand on Anna's shoulder. "This isn't just coincidence, Anna. It's fate. A way for the past to speak to the present, for the lessons and love of those we've lost to continue in the lives we touch today." Anna's lips quivered, and a tear traced a path down her cheek. "So, you'll help me, like you promised?" Alexander smiled warmly. "Always. We'll face this together. You are not alone. And in learning about your past, we also honor my mother's memory." In that quiet room, amidst rain and revelations, the bond between billionaire and girl deepened. The past had reached across years to bring them together, intertwining loss and hope, mystery and discovery, guiding them toward a shared future filled with love, care, and purpose. Spring arrived with gentle warmth, sunlight spilling over the gardens of Alexander's estate. Birds sang in soft choruses, and the scent of blooming flowers filled the air with promise. For the first time in months, Anna moved through the world without fear or uncertainty, her steps light, her smile genuine, her spirit unburdened. Alexander walked beside her in the garden, watching as she carefully tended to small pots of flowers she had chosen herself. "You have a way of bringing life to everything," he said softly, "just as your mother once did." Anna paused, brushing soil from her hands. I never thought I'd have a place like this, or someone to care so much. I feel safe." "You are safe," Alexander said, voice steady but full of emotion. "And you will always have someone to watch over you. Not because I am rich or powerful, but because you deserve care, love, and guidance." They spent the day exploring the estate, the library, and even a small studio Alexander had prepared for her. She picked up brushes, paints, and notebooks, laughter mingling with the scent of fresh paint and sunlight streaming through tall windows. Alexander realized that the wealth he had spent so long accumulating was nothing compared to the richness of this shared life, a life of trust, hope, and nurturing. As evening fell, the two sat on a bench overlooking the sparkling fountains, their reflections mirrored in the water. "Alexander," Anna said softly, "I feel like I finally belong somewhere. Like I've been given a second chance." Alexander's heart swelled. "You have, Anna, and you've taught me that family isn't only who we are born to, it's who we choose to protect, nurture, and love. Today is not just a new beginning for you, but for both of us." A gentle breeze stirred the garden, carrying the fragrance of blossoms and distant rain. Alexander knew that together they would face life's uncertainties, carry forward legacies, and honor the past, all while building a future full of care, courage, and hope. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, bathing the estate in golden light, a billionaire and a once-lost girl discovered that family, love, and belonging could blossom in the most unexpected ways. Autumn arrived with a quiet chill, leaves turning gold and amber, rustling underfoot as Alexander and Anna walked through the estate gardens. Though their lives had begun anew, shadows from the past lingered, unanswered questions, lingering doubts, and the remnants of hardship Anna had endured. I sometimes worry," Anna admitted softly, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "About the people I left behind, about the life I had to escape. Will I ever feel whole?" Alexander stopped beside her, the crisp air carrying the scent of fallen leaves and distant wood smoke. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Life leaves marks, Anna, but it also gives us chances to heal, to grow, and to rewrite the story that once felt impossible." She looked at him, eyes glistening. "Even you, even someone as rich and powerful as you, have regrets, don't you?" Alexander smiled faintly, a shadow of sadness crossing his features. "Many. I've made choices I wish I could undo, but meeting you, seeing your courage and spirit, has reminded me that it's never too late to change, to make amends, to build something meaningful." They paused at the edge of the fountain, water reflecting the fiery hues of autumn. Anna took a deep breath, courage slowly replacing fear. "I want to face it," she said firmly. "Whatever comes from my past, I want to face it, and I want to do it with you by my side." Alexander nodded, warmth filling his chest. "Then we face it together. Every shadow, every fear, every doubt, we confront it as a team. You are not alone, Anna, and your strength will guide both of us forward." The garden fell silent, except for the gentle splash of the fountain and the rustle of leaves in the breeze. Alexander realized that true courage was not the absence of fear, but the choice to move forward despite it. And Anna, with her unwavering determination, had taught him that resilience could shine brightest in the face of life's darkest moments. As they walked back toward the mansion, hands brushing, hearts aligned, Alexander understood that family, love, and courage were not just words, but actions, and facing the shadows together was the path to hope, healing, and a life fully lived. Winter settled softly over the estate, dusting the gardens with frost and turning the air crisp and clear. Alexander watched Anna from the grand window, her laughter echoing as she arranged flowers in the mansion's sunroom. In her small, deliberate movements, he saw the reflection of his mother, not just in appearance, but in spirit, courage, and love. "Anna," he said gently, entering the room, "do you realize what you've brought into my life?" She looked up, shy but smiling. "I think you've given me a family, and you've shown me that even the past, with all its pain, can become something beautiful." Alexander nodded, feeling a profound warmth settle in his chest. "You've taught me that wealth, power, and influence are meaningless without love, compassion, and integrity. You've reminded me that family is not only defined by blood, but by the hearts we choose to nurture." Anna reached for his hand, small and trusting. "We can face anything together, right?" "Yes," he whispered. "Together we can face anything, and in doing so we honor the past, embrace the present, and create a future full of hope, courage, and care." Outside, the frost sparkled in the early morning light, and the world seemed alive with possibility. Alexander realized that in finding Anna, he had found more than a connection to his mother. He had found a legacy of the heart, a legacy that would continue through every act of kindness, every moment of courage, and every life touched by love. As they stepped into the garden, hand in hand, Alexander understood the deepest truth of all. Life's greatest gifts are not counted in wealth or titles, but in the love we give, the courage we share, and the bonds we build. Those are the legacies that endure, and in that quiet, sunlit estate, amidst laughter, trust, and shared memories, a billionaire and a once-lost girl discovered the power of family, hope, and the unbroken thread of love that connects generations. True legacy is measured not by wealth, status, or power, but by the love, courage, and compassion we leave in the lives of others. Life gives second chances, and sometimes the smallest connection, a shared smile, a guiding hand, can create a future brighter than any fortune.